Till you come back to me, there'll be nothing left to say.
On this episode of the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast, I'll be talking about a raucous, piano-based traditional jazzy R&B jam, Broken. The song, recorded in early 1981 at Prince's Kiowa Trail home studio, feels a bit like a sequel to Dirty Mind's Side 1 closer, Got a Broken Heart Again, albeit a more upbeat and energetic sequel. It also has a bit of a rockabilly feel to it, and this is about a year before he'd go full rockabilly on songs like Delirious, Horny Toad, and the vault single, You're All I Want. But, only a few months before he would officially release what most cite as his first rockabilly-sounding song, and that's Jack You Off, which was the final track on Controversy. Interestingly enough, Broken was played live at a few shows in March of 1981. This was on the second leg of the Dirty Mind tour. It's pretty rare for Prince to play unreleased music on tour, and especially a song that never saw the light of day. At least as of 2022, it has not. And definitely never saw the light of day during Prince's lifetime. So it sounds to me as if Broken was a song that, while recorded in early 81, obviously must have been recorded before March, since he and the band were performing it live on stage in March of 81. I don't know if he had thoughts that this might be a song for his upcoming album, if he was thinking about, maybe its placement as a potential B-side. But, I think he certainly found value in it, especially as a live song in a very short period of time, because he never really played it again after that little window in the spring of 81. So Prince is definitely experimenting with different genres at this time, musical genres that he hadn't really experimented or performed any songs in that vein before. So a lot of piano in this song. It really has a more traditional sound, as I already mentioned. And if you frame Broken as a sequel to Got a Broken Heart Again, I think that also makes it interesting lyrically speaking. As the first line in the song is, "Till you come back to me, there'll be nothing left to say," which is essentially an alternate, more positive approach to the sentiment that he expressed at the very end of Got a Broken Heart Again.
Till you come back to me, there'll be nothing left to say.
The last two lines in that song are, "'Cause once your love has gone away, there ain't nothing left to say." And here he says, "Till you come back to me, there'll be nothing left to say." And that completely fits the tone of the songs. Got a Broken Heart Again is a very somber ballad, broken while still mining the topics of heartbreak and despair. Obviously has a much brighter sound to it, with the jangly piano playing, and it's just a much more upbeat and energetic version of Got a Broken Heart Again. So I just like the connection that Prince is clearly making between the end of one song and the beginning of this song. And both, of course, have the word broken in the title.
Broken, my heart is broken, yeah. Broken, oh baby, my heart is broken in two. Till you bring your sweet love, bring it on home to me. You're broken out of me, alone in misery.
Broken, my heart is broken, yeah. Broken, oh baby, my heart's just broken in two. Until you bring your sweet love, bring it on home to me. I'll be your broken-hearted man, alone in misery. So he sings this verse completely a cappella minus some finger snapping that he does. And you could tell right away that the lyrics aren't any brighter. They aren't any more positive. At least here at this part of the song. The music belies the true emotions felt by Prince singing this, in performing this song. He's still brokenhearted, he's still in misery, he's still alone. Again, the sentiment is nearly identical between Got a Broken Heart Again and Broken. The main difference, of course, is being the music. Broken, Lord, my heart is broken, Lord. Broken, yeah, my heart's just broken in two. Until you bring your sweet love, bring it on home to me, I'll be your broken-hearted man, alone in misery. So he basically repeats the first verse again as the second verse, this time over music and over instruments. I mean, this song, for the most part, has very repetitive lyrics. The lyrics don't go a lot of different places in this song, and he really kind of repeats the same things over and over. He's got a structure for all of these verses. And verses 1 and 2, it's basically the same. My heart is broken. Instead of saying broken, yeah, he says broken, Lord. And Prince is starting to incorporate a bit more of his religion into songs. During the Controversy tour, which would happen later in 1981 and into early 82, he opened those series of concerts with a song called The Second Coming, which was never officially released, and as far as we know, I've never heard a studio version, just heard the live version. But that's a very religious song. Haven't covered that yet on the show, but it's a song that really kind of speaks to his religion, his relationship with God, and the importance that it has in his life. And so he's adding Lord here, and not because I think that this is a religious song in any way. It's just something, for emphasis that he's putting on the ends of these lines. Broken, Lord, my heart is broken, Lord. When, I think maybe before he wouldn't have done that. He would have said, like he did in the first verse, yeah, or oh baby. Lonely, I'm so lonely. Lonely, I don't know what to do. Until you bring your sweet pussy, bring it on home to me. I'll be your broken-hearted man, alone in misery. So you get it. You get the structure that's going on. This is verse 3 now. Instead of saying broken, he says lonely. And instead of sweet love, until you bring your sweet love, he says until you bring your sweet pussy. So this is surprisingly graphic, I think. But also, I guess, not so surprisingly graphic, considering he just released Dirty Mind a few months earlier with songs like Head and Sister on it. So I guess it's just kind of where he was at. I mean, he was pushing boundaries. And if you watch the live versions of this song, and this is from that March 1981 time frame, second leg of Dirty Mind, he performs this song, and I expected a bit more of a reaction from the crowd when he sings that line, but I didn't really see much. I think maybe it just took him by surprise because the song was unfamiliar to them. They didn't really know how to react. I mean, if after you've heard it before, and you know it's coming, and he says it, maybe the crowd would have reacted, but he just kind of sprung it on them. This is an unreleased song. They didn't know the lyrics. All of a sudden they hear him say sweet pussy, and they're just like, whoa, did you just say that? That's kind of the impression I got from the crowd when he sang that line in the song. So sweet love, sweet pussy, broken to lonely. I mean, he's just swapping out a couple of different words here, and otherwise the verses are identical. Bring it on home to me, I'll be your broken-hearted man, alone in misery. So he's just kind of again, just waiting for this woman to come back to him. The woman that broke his heart on Got a Broken Heart Again and Dirty Mind. And he's just waiting for her. Very hopeful, but also kind of accepting that he's going to be miserable until she comes back. And maybe the song is intended to kind of convince her to come back. Certainly he's explaining and expressing that he's waiting for her. And that's something that he's obviously trying to convey here. That he's not out there looking for somebody else. He is alone and miserable until she comes back. And that's how much he wants her. That's how much she needs her. Which could be scary, I suppose, if you're the one that left. It's like, okay, dude, you need to get over it. I left you for a reason. I'm not coming back. You can send me all of these woe is me songs and poems and write to me and call me and tell me how much you miss me. But, you know, if I left you for what I feel like is a good reason, I'm probably not going to come back just because you're begging me. Verse, crying, I'm just a crying, baby, oh Lord, I don't know what to do. Until you bring your sweet honey, bring it on home to me. I'll be your broken-hearted man, alone in misery. So now again, he's switched out that first word in the verse from broken to lonely. Now he's crying, and changed it out from sweet love to sweet pussy to sweet honey. They all essentially mean the same thing. Like I said, the song is very repetitive, lyrically speaking, so if it wasn't for these minor changes to the verses, there would be really not much to talk about here. And even as it stands, going from broken to lonely to crying, it's still an expression of grief, and there's not much else to say here. I mean, it's essentially just a repeat of the first three verses. He does some riffing later in the song, oh baby, till you bring your sweet love, bring it on home to me, oh baby, baby Lord. And he repeats a lot of the same lines that he's already been singing, but just, you know, this is the part where the band does their thing. On stage, it's Des playing guitar, and you've got Lisa playing piano and Fink playing keys. But he's just repeating these lines over and over until you bring your sweet love, bring it on home to me. I'll be your broken-hearted man alone, broken-hearted man alone, broken-hearted man alone in misery. And the ending has, you know, it's this big grand ending, just like he does on Jack You Off. So I think that, as I said, there's an interesting parallel between Got a Broken Heart Again and Broken, but I think there's also an interesting connection to be made between Broken and Jack You Off. Both have some explicit language used. Both have this kind of jazzy R&B flow to it, but also a little bit of a, you know, rockabilly sound. And then they both end in almost like a comedically grand fashion, where it's like almost tongue-in-cheek. You can imagine Prince thinking to himself, I'm going to, you know, kind of end this on an epic note. Big band plays, build up, boom, end. And that's how Broken ends. And that's also how Jack You Off ends. Even more so. I mean, if you listen to that song, it's even more epic because, of course, you know, he's got it on an album, so he needs to up the ante quite a bit and certainly go out with a bang. This song goes out with a bang, but maybe not quite as big of a bang as Jack You Off does. So that is Broken. Broken is a pretty short, pretty simple, cool sound, cool song. Interesting that it was played live. Interesting for the connections to previous album and the next album. But for lyrically speaking, it's very repetitive. Not a lot to dive deep into or dig into here. I wish there was another song in this vein that I could have added to this episode to make it a little meatier. But whatever. A short episode is what we're going to get this time. And we're in early 1981. We don't have a lot of of unreleased material that we've heard that we can talk about. So I'm doing what I can with what I've got. So thank you very much for listening. This has been the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast. I've been your host, Jason Brenninger. You can find the show at pressrewind.net and social media, as well as Discord, YouTube, and of course, shout out to my patrons, Theo and Buren. So thank you very much, and until next time, goodbye.